If you're interested in understanding what board feet are, then you've definitely clicked on the right video. Anyone who works with wood needs to understand the nuances of board feet measurement. It's vital. And this video, I think you'll find, serves as the comprehensive guide. In it, I'll demystify the complexities with both math-based and math-free explanations. And by the end, you'll not only understand the intricacies of board feet measurements, but you'll have gained practical knowledge, which I think will enhance your woodworking or construction skills. So let's jump right in. A board foot is an abstract unit used to measure a quantity of lumber, whether that be a stack or a single board. In order to understand board feet, we need to first talk about the mathematical concept known as volume. Volume, as you will recall, is the amount of space an entity occupies. The volume of a box is calculated by multiplying the area of its base by its height, which we express as length multiplied by width multiplied by height. A box with equal length, width, and height, all of 1 foot, has a volume of 1 cubic foot. That same volume is also 7.48 US gallons. A cubic foot of volume can be visualized as a stack of 12 square foot pieces of lumber, each 1 inch thick, piled 12 high. To state it another way, a box measuring 1 cubic foot has the exact capacity to accommodate 12 separate 1 inch thick square foot pieces of lumber. Removing 11 of the pieces from the stack of 12 results in 1/12 of the volume remaining. Same board, expressed in inches instead of in feet, has a volume of 144 cubic inches, which, as represented on the right, is the sum of 144 1 inch by 1 inch pieces, each 1 inch thick. In terms of space occupied, aka volume, 144 cubic inches is equivalent to just under 2/3 of a US gallon. All right, so finally, we arrive now at the explanation of the unit known as board foot. A single board foot is the amount of space, aka volume, that a square foot of lumber, 1 inch thick, just as we've been talking about, occupies. So, when we say a board or a stack of lumber has X number of board feet, we aren't saying that it's square or that it's 1 inch thick or 12 inches wide. We're just saying that the volume that that mass of lumber occupies is the same as X 12 by 12 1 inch thick pieces of lumber would also occupy. Common abbreviations for board foot include BF, F.B.M, and BD.F.T, as seen in these 3 examples here. The abbreviation F.B.M stands for foot board measure. Now and then you'll also hear a board foot referred to as a foot of lumber. Prior to the adoption of the board foot, the lumber industry operated without a standardized measuring system. While the rationale behind adopting a standard system seems obvious, the reasoning for not utilizing established units, such as cubic feet or inches, remains a mystery. Nevertheless, the abstract unit of board foot emerged as the chosen standard. Personally, I find it appealing to measure wood as the number of square feet of lumber 1 inch thick that it contains. So then, how are board feet calculated? Well, given a piece of nominal dimensional lumber, we arrive at its board feet of volume by multiplying the width of the piece by its thickness and length. When all 3 dimensions are expressed in inches, the resulting product can be divided by 144 cubic inches to obtain the measurement in board feet. For example, a board 12 inches wide, 1 inch thick, and 10 feet long contains 10 board feet. If all three dimensions are expressed in feet, then the product can be multiplied by 12 over 1 cubic feet to obtain the board feet. As we can see from the math just shown, if the width and thickness of a board are expressed in inches and the length is expressed in feet, then its volume in board feet can be calculated by dividing the product of the three numbers by 12. This shortcut of not needing to convert the length to inches works because the 144 cubic inches we are going to divide that by can be expressed as 12 by 12 cubic inches. And then we have 12s in the numerator and 12s in the denominator canceling each other out, and the units cancel each other out as well. To recap, there are three ways to calculate board feet, all three of which involve multiplying width by length by thickness, the difference being the units on the numbers. The number of board feet in a stack of lumber is easily computed from the dimensions of the stack, no matter how wide or thick the boards are, provided they are all the same length. For example, a stack 4 feet high by 4 feet wide, with the boards being 8 feet long, be them 2x4s or 4x4s or whatever, will always contain 1,536 board feet. Of course, this is implying that the lumber is rough cut green lumber, as board feet is a measure used with nominal size. By nominal, we mean its rough thickness and width before it undergoes drying and planing. Length in the board foot volume is the actual length. I've shared an awful lot with you about board feet. You could probably walk away from this video now knowing all you need to know about board feet. But as I promised in the introduction, I want to show you a non-math based approach, and it's pretty cool. It's old school and you won't want to miss it. So let's jump into that now. So it's time to pull out the framing square. Notice on the thicker leg here that there's a bunch of numbers underneath the inch marks, starting at the 2 and going up to the 23. That's called the Essex table, and that's what we're going to talk about. The Essex table lists board feet corresponding to different lengths and widths. So instead of performing calculations, one can simply locate the desired value by referencing the table. All right, so to use the Essex table on your square, you always start at the 12-inch mark. The column of numbers listed under the 12 are lengths of boards in feet. So let's say you have an 8-foot long board. You go to the 12, you find the 8 under the 12. Then you're going to either go to the left or right, depending on the width of your board in inches. So if your board is 11 inches wide, then you find the 8, the length, and then you travel along that same row that the 8's on until you come to the width on the represented by the inch mark. So here we find the 8-foot board, 11 inches wide, and under the 11 we see the numbers 7 and 4. The 7 represents full board feet, and the 4 represents partial board feet as a fraction of 12. So we read these two numbers as 7 and 4/12 board feet. That is the number of board feet in a board 8 feet long and 11 inches wide that is 1 inch thick. Everything on this scale listed on your framing square is based on 1 inch thicknesses. But that's no problem, because if it's 2 inches thick, then you would just double 7/4 and you'd have 14/8. So that's pretty easy, right? Let's just do one more example to make sure we have it straight in our minds. Let's say we have a board that's 14 feet long and 15 inches wide. Again, 1 inch thick. Let's see how many board feet that has. We first locate the 12. Then we go down below the 12-inch mark until we find the length of the board in feet. Here's our 14 feet. Now we have to travel straight across on this row until we fall underneath the 15-inch mark, which represents the width of the board in inches. And we see 17 and 6/12 board feet. There is one other scenario to be aware of. If a board is 12 inches wide, then the length of the board is its board feet. We know what to do when a board is thicker than 1 inch. We just look up the board feet number based on 1 inch and then multiply those numbers by the thickness. But if the stock is under 1 inch, typically it's tallied as being 1 inch thick. Similarly, there's only 7 lengths listed under the 12. So if your length is longer than any of the lengths listed here, you might have to add 2 of them together, or you might have to multiply. Say you're doing a 30-foot length, you'd look up the 15-foot length and multiply the numbers by 2. If you're really paying attention, you'll also notice that the length of 12 is not listed as one of our reference lengths. And that's because a board that is 12 feet long has the same number of board feet as its width in inches. Here's a bonus tip for you. Instead of treating the column of numbers below the 12 as reference lengths, treat those numbers as reference inches of width, and then treat the inch marks across the top of the square as the reference lengths. And you'll notice you'll get the same numbers as I'm pointing to here. In conclusion, I trust that you found this comprehensive video on board feet to be helpful. Please let me know what struck you as new or anything else that you'd like to share down in the comments. I also hope that the inclusion of the Essex table explanation added a very practical element to this discussion. If you like videos like this, then consider subscribing to my channel, and please share this video with your friends and other interested parties. Have a great day.